Greetings, 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 and thrice greetings. Yes, it is that time, ladies and gentlemen. It is another Monday Mantra with your relentless host, Mr. Peter Lorimer. Greetings, everybody. I want to welcome you to Monday Mantra. I want to talk about something very specific today, which, good morning, everyone. Good morning. I want to talk about something very specific, and the genesis of this mantra today was kind of the Oscars last night. So I watched the Oscars. There were some really great moments. I found it a much more enjoyable. Oh, look at that! Because of your support, I started my podcast. Well, look at that. So I was watching the Oscars last night. I really enjoyed it. I felt it had a different flavor right from the get-go when that lovely young lady who opened the whole proceedings just kind of was just like a burst of energy, and she said some political stuff, and it was kind of like I really just loved the tone of everything to do. And my boy, Joaquin, you gotta love him. You have to love him. He is a man who speaks his mind. And I happen to actually believe I'm in the same camp as him. I believe what he says. But one of my, I think the highlight for me, the most moving moment of the entire proceedings was when Cynthia Ervivo, you know who I mean, the star of Harriet, who sang so unbelievably emotional during the performance last night, that wonderful song, Stand Up. Which, if you haven't seen Harriet, it's much more than a movie. It's something, if you live in even if you don't live in the United States, it's something that is incredibly important to how this country was formed. And it is a really quite breathtaking, emotional, unbelievable story that needs to be heard by everyone. So, the theme music, the theme song to the movie is this beautiful piece of music called Stand Up. Now, I'm not going to be commenting on political history a couple of hundred years ago in America, but the idea of standing up to oppression or standing up to bullies really resonated with me. And I often have a conversation with people who are kind of feeling a bit insecure. Maybe they're kind of feeling a little bit like they can't do it. Maybe they're feeling that they're struggling a little bit. And I often use the word bully, right? But sometimes the bully comes from within. It comes from within our own mind. It's like the assassin. You look in the mirror to find out who the assassin is, and the assassin all the time is ourselves. Certainly in my case, I have struggled with self-doubt. I've struggled with insecurity. I've struggled with, too old, too fat, too young, too thin, whatever the hell it is. I've struggled with it. And I want to show you some ways that I kind of combat the demons that kind of lurk in my head, the bullies that stand in my head, and what happens when you stand up to a bully. When you stand up to a bully backs down. And it isn't just endless self-repetition of, worthlessness and whatever your kind of foe is. It can be really subtle, cunning, baffling kind of like chatter that goes on in our heads. And so I want to show you some of the techniques that I use to reframe my mind, because and God rest my soul, my mother, she said, "You are what you think, Peter." And those words were just so unbelievably wise. When I was a kid, I was like, yeah, whatever, Mum. But as I look back on those words when I was, now that I'm an older guy, I am what I think. So let's break that down. Let's break this into business. If we feel that we are struggling, we indeed find the struggle. Right? If we go into a situation, a lot of real estate people watching, so if we go into a real estate situation thinking there isn't really much chance that I'm going to get the listing because there's a whole bunch of big ballers out there that have got way more kind of like repertoire than I have, they've got a much longer, curriculum vitae, they've got a much, they're a much bigger presence than I am. If we go in with that defeatist attitude, if we struggle into the meeting, we will find the struggle whilst we are there. And also, if we feel like we are not good enough, we will feel undervalued. It's a vicious cycle. And the most toxic one of all, and you've heard me say this 1,000 times, if we concede to fear, we indeed will be fearful, right? It's a self-fulfilling prophecy that is insatiable. The appetite of it is never quenched. And it's so easy to kind of disappear down that rabbit hole of negativity, which is something that I never want to do. So, conversely, and this comes from, I've been listening to a bunch of new stuff. There's a new book that I'm reading. I want to remember the title. But there is a new book where it's the power of the mind. It's kind of like Think and Grow Rich, but it's not Napoleon Hill. It was 100 years ago, and I'm kind of in my spree of book reading for 2020. I'll tell you what it is. Maybe I'll post it somewhere. But, you know, the power of the mind is everything. And essentially, I don't want to get too kind of ethereal here and too spiritual, but I have taught myself, many of you guys know, you know, my backstory, music and, you know, party life and then sober and da-da-da-da-da. I start my day with what we call a gratitude list, right? Which is something, because my natural disposition isn't this guy. I don't jump out of bed full of energy and like, wah, today's awesome. I jump out of bed and I fight the demons like everyone else does. It's just I've been doing it so long, I kind of move through the darkness pretty quickly. So what I like to do is I like to write a gratitude list. If you don't know what it is, you can Google it, but it's dead easy. Essentially, write 10 things down the moment you wake up that you are grateful for. Your kids, your job, your house, your mom, your dad, your boat, it shouldn't really be too materialistic, it should be more spiritual, but write down a gratitude list because gratitude is an amazing tool, and I'm going to kind of develop that idea in a minute. But conversely, if we've been feeling fear, we attract fearfulness. We are guided by fear. But also, if we believe, now you've heard this said by a load of other people, but if we believe that our success in real estate or whatever it is, that our success is literally days and weeks away, right? The success we want. Now, you could be in the business 20 years and wanting to improve your business. If you kind of believe and taste it and think about it and visualize it like Phil Jackson, I've talked about visualization before. If you taste it and believe that your success or part of your success or the path to success or the first step to success is literally days or weeks away, there is a miraculous thing that happens, and I can tell you something now. I'm not going to disclose to you guys what I've got my brain trained on, but it's going to happen in the next 30 to 60 days, and if it does or it does not, I'm going to tell you. So I'm putting my money where my mouth is, and I'm living by this. So I am in belief that a certain thing is going to happen in my life. Now, if we focus and believe on those goals and not just the noise of insecurity, there is a magical thing that happens. Now, this is where faith kicks in, right? A grateful mind. Of everything I've said today, this is the most important, and I'm going to read it. The grateful mind continually expects good things. It looks for positive outcomes. Expectation becomes faith. Faith in oneself. Every time we send out a wave of gratitude, the universe feels it and begins working the cogs in the factory of life to send you on the path to your desires. Okay, nothing else in this mantra matters. I'm going to read that again. The grateful mind continually expects good things. Continually, people. It ain't like we watch the mantra, feel great, and then go out and get pissed off that someone cut us up. We've got to try and remain in this attitude of gratitude. Yes, buzzwords. We're going to remain in this attitude of gratitude. Let me read it one more time to you. The grateful mind continually expects good things. It always looks for positive outcomes. Expectations become faith. Faith in oneself. Every time we send out a wave of gratitude, the universe feels and begins working the cogs in the factory of life to send you on the path to your desires. Now, I wrote that down this morning. Now, I'm going to give you an example of this because when I was listening to this book, I can't remember what the book is, but I was listening to it while I was driving. I went into gratitude overload. And when I was on the freeway driving in LA, which we all do pretty much a massive part of our lives, I was grateful that I was in a car that I felt safe in. I was grateful that somebody had invented cars, and I started thinking about Ford and Mercedes and all of these guys that were there at the very beginning. I was full of gratitude for them. Then I was full of gratitude for the people that invented the safety systems in cars. Then I was full of gratitude because the guy braked in front of me very clearly so I didn't hit him. I was full of gratitude for the light bulb with Edison, and so on and so on and so on, right? Sounds mental! But when I arrived at my destination, I was just frothing with just the joys of life. It was contagious. I had one of the best meetings I'd ever had, and those people were just like, oh my God, we have to work with you. So I hope that I hope that this message lands, because this is the key to freaking everything. If I go to work or sit in my office and think, oh, I wonder if this is going to do well, or I wonder if when I was a songwriter, I wonder if this is going to be a hit. Oh God, I don't want to waste big one is, I don't want to waste my time. We never waste our time because we're not working for us. We are working for the universe. So, the only thing that will falter is if the hairline cracks of insecurity appear and we let them turn into mental chasms. So I'm going to finish with this paragraph one last time, people. One last time. The grateful mind continually expects good things. It always looks for positive outcomes. Expectation becomes faith. Faith in oneself. Every time we send out a wave of gratitude to the universe, it feels it and begins working the cogs in the factory of life to send you on the path to your desires. Wow! Well, there you go. And all of that came from that wonderful woman, Cynthia Enviro. I can't remember how to pronounce her name, but the one wonderful woman from Harriet. And stand up to those bullies in your minds, people. Stand up! Stand up! And I will look forward to seeing you all again next week on another Monday Mantra with your relentlessly positive host, Mr. Pete Lorimer. Have a beautiful week. You know where to find me. Lots of love, and I will see you again. Adios.